The ghost in the stars. The stars burned quietly in the endless black. 1,000 ships drifted in formation, their silver hulls reflecting the cold light of distant suns. It was supposed to be a simple patrol, another routine sweep of human-controlled space. At least that is what the alien fleet believed. Commander Varric of the Zaith Dominion leaned back in his chair, his scaled hands tapping against the armrest. His officers reported no unusual signals, no movement, no human fleets in the sector. For centuries, the humans had been considered weak. Brave, yes, but limited. Their colonies had been burned before, their warships shattered by empires older and greater. But on this night, something stirred in the void. A junior officer raised his head sharply, his crest trembling. "Commander, I detect something. A signal. Very faint. It is not in our archives." The command deck fell silent. Varric narrowed his eyes, watching the holographic display flicker with static. A strange blip pulsed at the edge of the sector, fading in and out like a heartbeat. "Another piece of human scrap," one officer sneered. "Their technology always breaks down." The others chuckled, their laughter echoing across the deck. To them, humanity was a nuisance at best, a weakling race surviving only because larger empires had other battles to fight. But the blip did not fade. It grew stronger. "Wait," the sensor officer whispered. That is no debris. The mass reading, it is enormous." The hologram sharpened and every voice died. A shadow took shape in the stars. It was larger than any vessel they had catalogued, its outline blurred, as if space itself resisted showing its true form. Panels shifted like plates of armor, but no empire symbol marked its hull. No lights, no flags, nothing but silence. The alien officers stared, their mouths dry. "What is that?" someone asked. The shadow drifted closer, silent and unhurried. Each pulse of its engines distorted the readings, making scanners short out. To the Dominion fleet, it was like staring into a ghost. "It can't be human," an officer hissed. "They don't build ships like that." Commander Varric forced his voice steady. "Broadcast a hail. Demand identification." The comm officer sent the signal. For a long moment, there was nothing but static. Then, a sound crackled through. Not words, not language, only a deep, distorted hum, like a storm trapped inside a machine. The sound made every officer shiver. Still, no one moved. The alien fleet, hundreds strong, hovered in formation, their weapons armed, but their courage faltering. The shadow warship simply floated there, daring them to act. "Perhaps it is unmanned," one officer said nervously. "A relic." "No," Varric muttered. His instincts screamed. That ship was not dead. It was waiting. And then, the impossible happened. The warship's surface lit up, not with windows or lamps, but with streaks of burning blue light racing across its hull. Weapon systems, unseen until that moment, unfolded like wings of steel. The Dominion fleet gasped in shock. Every sensor screamed warnings. Power readings shot off the charts. "This energy signature," the science officer stammered. "It's impossible. Nothing we know reaches that scale." Commander Varric gritted his teeth. "Form battle lines. Prepare to fire." But before a single order could be completed, the warship moved. It did not jump to light speed. It did not fire immediately. Instead, it glided forward, slow and deliberate, like a predator circling prey. The vast alien fleet suddenly felt small, like insects before a storm. The ship's hull shifted again, plates sliding like muscles beneath skin. Its very design was wrong, unnatural. It looked less like a machine and more like a living thing, of metal and fire. "Where did the humans build this?" someone whispered. "How long have they hidden it?" No one answered. Then at last the warship spoke. The voice was broken, heavy, distorted by static, but clear enough for every ship to hear. "4 minutes is all you get." The words echoed through every channel, rattling the Dominion fleet's courage. Varric's blood ran cold. He had studied humans, fought them in border skirmishes, mocked their desperate defenses. But this was different. This was not a fragile colony ship or a corvette patched together in haste. This was something else. Something built for one purpose. The officers stared at him, waiting for orders. For the first time in his career, Varric hesitated. Outside, the warship's cannons began to glow. The silence in the command deck was suffocating. Every alien knew what came next, yet none dared say it aloud. The ghost in the stars had arrived, and their time was running out. The first strike, the words still echoed in every ear. 4 minutes is all you get. Commander Varric clenched his jaw as the alien fleet shifted in unease. The Dominion was proud, their warships numbered in the hundreds, yet none dared move. The mysterious human vessel drifted closer, its glowing cannons humming with deadly promise. "Order the fleet forward," Varric barked at last, trying to bury his own fear. "Test its strength. No single ship can face the Dominion armada." Dozens of alien cruisers obeyed, breaking formation. Their engines roared as they charged toward the silent shadow. Torpedo bays opened, cannons powered up. The vacuum of space trembled with the energy of so many weapons preparing to fire. The Dominion fleet was confident again. Numbers always won, but confidence lasted only seconds. The warship's hull split open, revealing a core of burning blue light. Its cannons fired, once, just once. A beam of energy, thin and precise, streaked across the void. One Dominion cruiser vanished instantly, erased as if it had never existed. Not destroyed, not shattered. Gone. The fleet gasped. Scanners shrieked warnings. Officers shouted, "Direct hit," but there's no wreckage. How can a weapon erase matter itself? The shadow ship fired again and again. Each shot was silent, each strike absolute. Cruisers that had stood for decades, armored with the strongest alloys of the Dominion, disappeared in bursts of light. In less than 20 heartbeats, 6 ships were gone. Panic broke through discipline. The Dominion armada scattered, every captain screaming over comms, begging for orders. "Hold formation," Varric roared, but his voice was drowned in chaos. The alien fleet fired back. Torpedoes streaked across space. Cannons unleashed waves of plasma. The darkness lit with explosions as everything they had was thrown at the human vessel. And yet, nothing touched it. The warship's hull shimmered with a strange barrier. Every torpedo passed through harmlessly. Plasma bursts bent away like streams of water against stone. Their greatest weapons might as well have been rocks thrown by children. "Impossible," one officer cried. "It bends physics itself." On the warship, more cannons unfolded, rising from its hull like wings, stretching open. The blue glow grew brighter, casting long shadows across the battlefield. Then the true strike began. Dozens of beams fired in unison, crisscrossing through the Dominion fleet. Entire squadrons vanished in silence, no wreckage left to mourn, no debris to study. Only empty space remained where proud warships once flew. The council chambers, watching from afar, erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted in disbelief. Some demanded explanations, others called for retreat. None could look away. "What kind of ship is this?" one counselor whispered. "How long has humanity hidden such a weapon?" Back on the battlefield, fear spread like wildfire. Dominion ships tried to retreat, but engines shut down one by one, struck with precision. The human vessel wasn't only erasing ships, it was cutting out their escape. Commander Varric gripped the rail so tightly his claws dug into the metal. His officers looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. "This is no ordinary warship," he muttered almost to himself. "This is judgment." The warship's comm crackled again. The same distorted voice echoed. 3 minutes. The countdown had begun. A chill swept through the entire Dominion fleet. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes until what? Total destruction? Extinction? None dared imagine. A brave Dominion captain tried one last move. His ship hurled forward, charging, headlong at the warship, weapons blazing. The crew cheered, their courage born of desperation. The human vessel did not move. At the last second, its hull shifted again, opening a dark maw at the bow. A pulse of light surged outward, engulfing the charging ship. For a heartbeat, the cruiser glowed like a star, then vanished into nothing. Silence followed. On the bridge of Varric's flagship, every officer stood frozen. Their claws trembled. Their throats were dry. No one spoke. No one dared. The warship floated calmly, as if the destruction of dozens of ships meant nothing. It moved like a predator still circling its prey, knowing there was nowhere left to run. Commander Varric finally whispered what everyone feared. "This is not a battle. This is execution." The warship's voice returned one last time, deep and merciless. 2 minutes. The countdown continued, and across the stars the Dominion fleet realized the truth. Their greatest armada was nothing before the ghost in the stars. The 4 minutes of silence. The countdown echoed across the Dominion fleet. 2 minutes. Every voice on the comms broke into panic. Captains shouted, officers begged for orders, and entire squadrons scattered like frightened birds. The once proud armada had lost its shape. Their numbers no longer mattered. On the bridge of Commander Varric's flagship, silence gripped the crew. No one wanted to breathe too loud, as if even the sound of fear would draw the warship's gaze. It was not attacking now. It drifted in, the void, calm, patient, waiting. That silence was worse than the destruction. Every second that ticked away felt like a knife pressed against their throats. The science officer's hand shook as he read the data. "Commander, their ship. It bends light, bends gravity. It is not just armor. It is rewriting the rules of physics." Varric did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the mysterious vessel, a shadow glowing with blue fire. 2 minutes. The words haunted him. 2 minutes until what? A cruiser broke formation and tried to escape. Its engines flared as it jumped to faster than light speed. For a brief moment, hope flickered. Then, the human warship pulsed once. A ripple spread across space, invisible yet unstoppable. The fleeing cruiser froze mid-jump. Engines died. The ship shuddered, trapped between space and nothingness. Seconds later, it crumbled into dust. The crew of the Dominion flagship watched, in horror. "No escape," one officer whispered. The warship's cannons lit again. Another wave of beams streaked through the void, precise as a surgeon's knife. 6 more Dominion ships disappeared in silence, leaving no wreckage behind. Comms filled with screams. "Shields useless. We cannot lock target. My engines won't respond." Each cry was cut off as ships winked out of existence, and then the voice returned. 1 minute. The words fell heavy like a death sentence. On the bridge, the crew trembled. Some lowered their heads in despair. Others looked to Commander Varric with pleading eyes. He had no answers, no plan. For the first time, he felt like prey before a predator. The Dominion had fought countless enemies across the galaxy. They had crushed rebellions, destroyed human colonies, burned cities to ash. They always believed themselves untouchable. But this ship, this ghost in the stars, had turned them into children waiting for punishment. Varric slammed his fist against the console. "We are warriors. We will not die like cowards. Focus all firepower on it." The order went out. What remained of the Dominion fleet turned, gathered. What courage they had left, and unleashed everything. Torpedoes, plasma, disruptors, beams. The void lit up with fire brighter than suns. For a moment it looked like a storm of power could bury even this warship. But when the light faded, the ghost remained untouched. The alien officers gasped. Weapons had passed through as if the ship wasn't even there. "It's not just shielded," the science officer whispered. "It exists half in our space, half somewhere else. We cannot hit what is not truly here." The Dominion's greatest fleet had no answer to such power. And then the voice spoke again, softer but colder than before. 30 seconds. The Dominion officers froze. They could almost feel the seconds bleeding away. The council, watching from distant chambers, argued in terror. Some demanded they surrender immediately. Others screamed that this was only a bluff, yet none could deny the truth. They were witnessing something no empire had ever faced before. Back on the battlefield, the warship shifted. Its cannons folded back into its hull. New weapons emerged, massive and silent. The glow spread across its entire body, like veins of fire ready to ignite. On Varric's flagship, the lights flickered. The ship's systems faltered as if the warship was draining the very power from space itself. "Commander," the communications officer whispered. "If this is only one ship, how many more do the humans have?" Varric could not answer. His throat was dry. His pride, his arrogance, his certainty, all had shattered. The crew watched in paralyzed silence as the final seconds ticked away. 10, the voice echoed. 9. The Dominion ships trembled. Some captains prayed. Others wept. 8. Every heartbeat felt like thunder. 7. The warship's glow brightened, its weapons humming with power. 6. The stars themselves seemed to fade. 5. Varric closed his eyes. 4. The bridge shook. 3. A sound like cracking glass filled the void. 2. The warship shifted, aiming directly at the Dominion flagship. 1. The countdown ended, and then came silence. The warship did not fire. Not yet. It simply floated there, weapons locked, daring them to wait. The Dominion fleet, what little remained, now understood the truth. This was not a battle. This was a warning. But who was the warning for? The Dominion or the entire galaxy? The message Dominion flagship sat frozen, every eye locked on the shadow in the stars. The countdown had ended, but no fire came, no beam, no explosion. Only silence. That silence was worse than death. Commander Varric gripped the arm of his chair, waiting for the blast that would erase him and his ship. But the mysterious warship did not fire. Instead, its cannons dimmed, folding back into its hull like a predator lowering its claws. "Why? Why is it waiting?" whispered one officer. The science officer's voice trembled. "Maybe it wants to speak." A moment later, the comm system sparked to life. Across every Dominion vessel, across the Council's viewing chambers light years, away the warship transmitted, not in alien tongue, not in the Dominion's language, but in the simple, direct voice of humanity. The message was not words at first, only images. Screens flickered with recordings. Charred human colonies, burning homes, ruined streets. The faces of children, wide-eyed and broken, stared out from the void. Soldiers lying in blood, civilians marched away in chains. Gasps filled the Dominion bridge. Officers froze in shame and disbelief. These were not lies. These were the massacres the Dominion had hidden, buried deep in silence. How do they have these? One officer whispered. "They see everything," another muttered. The images shifted again, fields of graves marked with human symbols, rows upon rows of names, entire settlements gone, millions dead. And then came the voice. It was broken, distorted, layered with static, but its anger carried through every word. "You thought we forgot." The crew flinched. "You thought your fires would erase us." The Dominion officers stared at each other, hearts pounding. But humanity remembers. Always. The warship's glow deepened, its weapons humming softly as if to remind them of the silence that followed destruction. Another image filled the screens. Council documents, stamped with Dominion seals, ordering the attacks on human colonies. Secret decrees signed in hidden chambers, now exposed for all to see. In the Council's great hall, chaos erupted. Delegates screamed at each other, denying, accusing, pointing claws and fingers in rage. The truth had been dragged into the open. On the flagship, Commander Varric felt his throat tighten. He had seen those documents once, buried in the archives of war. He had obeyed those orders without question. The warship's voice continued, calm but sharp as steel. "This ship is not here for war." The crew blinked, stunned. Not here for war. What then? It is here for memory. The message struck like a blade. The humans had not come to conquer, not yet. They had come to remind the galaxy of what was done to them, and to warn what would happen if it happened again. Varric's second officer whispered, trembling, This is vengeance held in silence. The warship's voice grew louder. We do not forgive. The bridge dimmed as lights flickered. Power systems strained as if the human vessel's presence alone was bending the flagship's core. We do not forget. Varric slammed a claw on the console. Why show us this? Why not finish it? His voice cracked with desperation. The answer came, chilling and final. Because you must carry the warning. The alien officers froze. Carry the warning? To who? And then, in a display no one had expected, the warship's weapons shut down completely. The glowing blue veins along its hull dimmed. The silence deepened, almost peaceful, if not for the wreckage that drifted in the background. One Dominion ship out of hundreds remained intact. Varric's flagship. It dawned on him then. They were spared, not out of mercy, but to spread fear. Council's chambers fell into stunned silence as the warship transmitted one last phrase, burned into every mind across the stars. Enter human space again, and you will not return. The image vanished. The comms went dead. On the bridge, no one dared move. The crew sat paralyzed, some shaking, some whispering prayers, and then, without a sound, the warship cloaked. Its form blurred, its light extinguished, until it was gone. No trail, no signal, nothing but a void where terror had stood. For a long moment, only the soft hum of failing systems filled the flagship. The battlefield was littered with silence and invisible graves. Commander Varric's claws dug into the chair. His pride was gone. His fleet was gone. Only one thing remained. Fear. His officers looked at him with hollow eyes. None asked for orders. None wanted to fight again. They only wanted to leave. The council, far away, stared at one another in disbelief. They had witnessed something that rewrote power itself. But Varric knew the truth better than any of them. The warship had not come to destroy them. Not yet. It had come to send a message, and he was the messenger. The battlefield was quiet now. No gunfire. No beams of light. Only the drifting remains of the Dominion fleet, though even the wreckage was strange. Where hundreds of ships once stood, only empty space remained. No debris. No floating corpses. It was as if the warship had erased not only their ships but their very existence. On Commander Varric's flagship, silence ruled. The crew sat frozen, too afraid to speak, afraid that even a whisper might call the ghost back. But the ghost was already gone. No signal, no trace. The mysterious human warship had vanished as if it had never been there, and yet its presence lingered in every heart. Commander Varric rose slowly, his scaled hands trembling. He had led fleets against dozens of enemies, but never had he felt this hollow. Never had he felt so powerless. They spared us, whispered his first officer. His voice was thin, shaking. But why us? To carry the message, Varric replied, his voice rough with fear. The words of the warship echoed in his mind. Enter human space again, and you will not return. The Dominion flagship limped away, engines damaged but still functional. The stars seemed darker, the silence heavier, as they turned their course back toward home. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread faster than light. The council tried to control it, but the truth was already loose. Captains spoke in whispers, officers carried tales, and soon the galaxy trembled with one name: the Ghost Warship. Some said it was a myth, a weapon built from old human legends. Others swore it was a Titan-class prototype hidden deep inside Earth's lost shipyards. A few whispered it wasn't human at all, that humanity had found something older, something buried, and claimed it as their own. But no matter the theory, one fact remained. Entire fleets had vanished in minutes, and humanity had spoken. In the council hall, the great chamber, where 100 species once bickered with pride, now sat in uneasy silence. Delegates who once mocked humanity avoided even saying the word. Their laughter was gone. Their arrogance had burned away with the wreckage. One elder counselor, his voice shaking, spoke aloud. If this was only one ship, how many more are there? No one answered. The silence was its own terror. Back on Earth, far from the council's gaze, humanity continued its quiet work. Shipyards hidden in asteroid belts glowed with secret activity. Factories deep beneath ruined colonies burned with new fire. The warship that had appeared was only one of many. Some whispered it had been a test, a reminder, a promise. On Earth, among the old ruins of war, a single phrase was repeated in every command bunker, every hidden fleet, never again. The legend grows among the Dominion. The survivors of Varric's flagship were broken men. They had looked into the abyss and survived, but survival carried its own burden. Everywhere they went, others demanded answers. What had they seen? What was that ship? Varric never spoke of it in full. He gave the same words each time, his eyes cold, his voice empty. It was not a warship, it was a ghost, and it came to remind us that humans remember. Whispers spread. Traders carried the tale. Soldiers repeated it in the dark of barracks. Even pirates spoke of it around dying campfires. The galaxy had many empires, many fleets, many armies, but now all of them spoke with fear of one shadow in the stars. The vanishing months passed. No one saw the warship again. Some began to doubt, to call it a lie, a story told by broken survivors. But whenever fleets approached human space, their captains hesitated. The memory of the vanished Dominion armada haunted them. No commander wanted to test the legend, and so the ghost achieved what no weapon alone could. It kept the galaxy at bay. The Council feared it. The Dominion feared it. Even allies feared it, because no one truly knew what humanity had built, or how many more ghosts drifted, waiting in the dark. The final shadow in the edge of the stars, far from Dominion worlds and Council chambers. A shadow stirred once more. It drifted in silence, cloaked in black, its hull glowing faintly with blue fire. Inside, no voice spoke. No crew was seen, only silence. And then, without warning, it vanished again, leaving nothing behind but the fear of its return. The galaxy would never sleep easy again, for now they all knew. One warship had been enough to erase an armada, and if there were more, the galaxy itself could burn.